James hasn't eaten for 3 days yet. He goes to the store to buy food, but when he pays, he lacks £1. He sings a song for a discount. But the owner throws his rice into the sink and atrociously chases James away. This hungry and cold man just wants to find a place to sleep, but there's nowhere for him. He meets his addict friend Baz by chance, and is invited into an unlocked car to sleep. Baz also gives him a packet of heroin. He doesn't hesitate, then takes it. The next morning, the car owner comes back. The friend immediately runs away, but James has been in a coma. No matter how the car owner awakes, he can't wake up. Not long afterwards, he wakes up in the hospital, and next to him is the drug support worker Val. He feels so embarrassed. Val gives him a lot of advice as well as gets him into a council flat. Prescribes him methadone in an attempt to get him off the street. He looks around the house, furniture neat arrangement, hot water in the kitchen. Those things make him to be moved to tears. On his first night in the flat, James discovers a special guest. A cat is rifling through his cereal. Assuming the cat had escaped from somewhere, he enthusiastically feeds the cat and lets him stay overnight. He intends to return the cat to his real owners the next day. Next morning, he brings the cat to ask all his neighbors, but the cat is not theirs. Only can bring it back to the wild. After that, he goes to the streets to perform, but the staff in the store chases him away. Accidentally, he sees his father, but it seems like his father doesn't want to meet him. Besides, his stepmother really hates him. After saying a few words, the father gives him a little money and leaves. James is so disappointed, then goes home. He finds the cat waiting for him with a wound on his back leg. Worried, James consults his animal-loving neighbor Betty. She names the cat Bob, such a beautiful name, and tells James that Bob's wound may become infected and need to be treated. She suggests James for going to the nearby veterinary hospital. After the treatment is over, Bob gets better. The vet reminds him to go to the pharmacy counter to get medicine. He takes out a handful of small change. The vet's face is expressionless looking at him, so he must use his money for food to pay. After getting home, he tries to give Bob medicine. But for a first-time pet owner like him, this is a torture. Then he seeks help from his neighbor. It's obviously a tomcat, so Betty gives him medicine easily. Next day, he goes into town to earn a living. Not only keeps following James, Bob also sneaks onto the bus. Everyone looks at the cat curiously, but Bob just goes straight to the second floor, jumping on James's legs. While walking on the street, James asks Bob to climb on his shoulders. Bob is smart to understand immediately. One person and one cat draw more crowds of people. Everyone wants to touch this beautiful and clever cat. His performance attracts a lot of passers-by. Only one day, he earns more than 1 week's income. They happily high-five each other. But he doesn't know this is just the beginning of their happy life. A cat and a man are interested by many people on the street. This woman rushes forward, she caresses Bob's face. The other woman also wants to take pictures with him. Even this little girl is enchanted by the lovely cat. Bob also receives his first Christmas gift, a blue knitted scarf. Bob becomes a tourist hotspot, and James and Betty start being romantically inclined when she invites James to dinner. In the evening, James goes to the supermarket to buy Bob some cat food as his sincere heart. While returning home, James finds his old friend unconsciously lying on the street due to overdosed on heroin. He and Betty try their best, but Baz later dies in hospital. This reminds Betty of painful memories, because her brother died of heroin in this room. That's why Betty cannot be around drug addicts. James is afraid that Betty will leave him if she knows the truth, so he just keeps his secrets. When she calms down, their relationship is getting better and better. They celebrate Christmas together, give gifts, and even hug each other. One day, while busking, James gets into an argument with a man whose dog urinates in James's bag, causing the crowd to get in a brawl with the man. They rush into and beat that scoundrel, making the street chaotic. Soon after, the police come, but only James gets arrested and prohibited from busking for 6 months. While in the drugstore receiving his methadone, Betty notices him. He quickly explains, but she feels too disappointed in him. Being banned from busking, he has to think of another way to make a living. Later on, James visits the offices of the Big Issue to make some more money for him and Bob. Even though James and Bob only stand in a certain place selling magazines, their charm doesn't decrease at all. They quickly catch everyone's attention again. A lot of people want to take pictures with them, but his colleagues are jealous. It's like a danger to their lives, their parents. They quickly find a way to cause trouble to James. One day, when James is on the way to work, a couple wants to take a picture with him. Even puts money in his jacket, then takes away a magazine. After being accused of illegally selling, James and Bob are banned for a whole month. He pours all the money in his backpack out. With that small amount of money, he can't resist for a month, so he has to go to a deserted place to perform. Finally, he overcomes this miserable month. After going back in business, there are a woman and her son with the excuse to buy magazines, also want to buy Bob. Of course he never agrees, but the woman keeps begging. He has no choice but to ask the boy how much they can pay. At this moment, Bob is threatened by a group of dogs barking, so he runs away. Bob runs ahead, the dog chases behind. James lost his cat in the crowd. He looks for Bob all over the streets, but can't find the cat. He really lost his cat. James extremely blames himself, feels like losing his soul, and no longer interested in anything. Seeing some gangsters outside, he comes out, asks confusingly, "I own a cat, I am looking for it. Have you seen it anyway? Maybe God has blessed him." Without answers, he goes back and finds Bob in the kitchen. He happily hugs and kisses Bob. He's afraid that his pet will run away again. After Bob returns, James feels he is ready to come off the methadone. He comes to meet Betty and tells her his decision, also refusing her help. But the detoxification process is not going well. He begins to be troubled, insecure and angry. The withdrawal symptoms also cause his whole body convulsed. Whenever he can't hold on anymore, Bob comes to his side to give him encouragement. After a week of struggling against withdrawal symptoms, James awakes clean and healthy. James goes to visit Betty. She gives him a hug. As a congratulation to him, she also receives James's support to forget her sad memories. She is going to her parents' house, so she gives him a dream catcher as a keepsake. Also lets him know her number and address. She tells him that recently some publishers were looking for him. James and Bob go to see the publisher soon after. A journalist, Mary, requests to write a book about James and Bob after his internet and media popularity. And James agrees. James comes and knocks on his father's door. He tells his father that he was really sorry, and he had undergone detoxification. The father opens his wallet and takes out James's picture. He said, "I didn't give up on you, I was ashamed. I didn't know how to be your father, I'm the one at least to apologize." At this time, the stepmother's voice comes from inside. His father answers, "I'm talking with my son." Later on, James and Bob's book is published. There are many people waiting to buy their books. At the book signing, James is celebrated by Val, his father, and a visiting Betty. He also expresses his opinion. Everyone has their second chance. But not everyone can take them. Luckily for me, I have some very important companions to help me get my second chance. In your life, you will meet many people willing to help you. Also, it can be a cat or a dog. It can be an animal that you can convey your own feelings to. You can see the former James through this last recipient of book. This film is based on the book of same name, A Street Cat Named Bob. Hope that this film can touch your heart, so that you can seize opportunities, overcome difficulties, and find your true meaningful life. Goodbye and see you in the next videos.